All right, all right. Greetings. Welcome, everyone. See if we have enough lighting in here. Welcome to Dorseysresource. Happy New Year. First of all, I want to say to everyone, 20, 2019 was an amazing year. Now we're in the year of 2020. This will be my first video of the year. Don't know how many people we're going to get, so that's why I decided to make this open forum Q&A. So, it's open discussion. By the way, Happy New Year. Thank you guys for joining. We're back once again. I see we got Money Boy in the building, fam. Big shout out to Money Boy. Happy New Year to you, family. Mary Saunders says, Happy New Year. Happy New Year's to you. Thank you all for joining. Big shout out to you all. Wonderful Happy New Year. 2019 is now behind us, so I wanted to kick things off fresh early in the morning. Don't plan to be before you guys that long. However, if we get more people in the chat, this is open forum Q&A, open topic. I didn't start the disclaimer yet. It is in the description box as always. But I wanted to let you guys know I'm still here. Appreciate the love, the shout out. Those of you all who do still follow me, appreciate you, family. Much appreciated. Now, since this is open forum, feel free to chime in, jump in anytime. So far, they're saying we only have 4 people watching. So I'm just going to go over general information to kind of recap key definitions to research and investigate previous videos I've done. You want to look up the word person and individual in a Black's Law Dictionary, Black's Law 6th edition. Natural person, corporation. I want to reiterate some of the previous videos that I've done. There is truth to them. There's plethora of evidence. There's numerous things I haven't shown yet and have not gone over. And it does take me time to put these videos together to gather notes for you guys to have high-powered, credible, solid information. By the way, got this shadow that's glaring, trying to get, hopefully, good lighting in here. I don't like, when the light is bad or whatever. I don't know if you guys can really tell, but it's the shadow. Maybe I might, don't really, let's see if we can, because I'm on my phone, so let me see if I can move the video. I can move the, do something new. See if this is better at all. Get better lighting in here. I don't like had a big giant glare. Money Boy Film says if you want to join the panel on me, EDU, we live right now. Yeah, let me know, Money Boy. I got a little bit of time. I wouldn't mind joining the panel. If I need any instructions, you can shoot me an email at my email address, Dorseysresource2017 at gmail.com. If need be, I'm not sure. They got a new software I see they're using when people utilize the Google Hangouts, by the way. So I've been following you guys for a while. Just, to reiterate, some people out there don't believe are the TDAs, the Treasury Direct accounts, real. I want to reassure you, yes, they are. By the way, trying to readjust. Okay. That looks better. It says somebody else is joining the chat. Let's see. B Duff says, Happy New Year, Dorsey's Resources. Happy New Year's to you as well. Thank you for joining. Appreciate you. So to reiterate, going back to the chat real quick, it says we can have up to 6 people at one time on the panel. Okay, if you're still watching, Money Boy, what's the instructions? Let me know what I need to do to chime in. Whatever is there app I need to download. I haven't used that. I have followed other YouTubers, by the way, other top content creators when they used to use that Google Voice, and I think they got rid of that. So it looks like they're using a different software. I see. So I'm not really familiar with that yet. I haven't. I'm still behind the times, you guys, as technology's moving so progressively fast, by the way. So I am subscribed to a lot of other YouTube channels, and I was told I absorb a lot of information, by the way. We have someone else. Aaron Villette says in the chat, what's up? Happy New Year. Bring the love. Appreciate you. Thank you for joining, Aaron. Tori Doucette says, what's up, my brother? Appreciate you. Thank you for joining, by the way. And if you guys don't mind, you know, thumbs up the video out there. If you haven't subscribed, you can click the notification bell whenever I put out new videos or videos you're interested in that you would like to hear more about. Definitely leave a comment. Let me know, and I'll try to put the notes together and do a video to cover that topic. By the way, as I did recently for Currency 365. He's another big channel. He just put out a video recently. He covers things mainly dealing with the currency, foreign currency such as the Iraqi dinar, something I used to talk about quite a bit in the past. I don't go into as much detail about anymore. He also talks about a lot about cryptocurrencies and things related to kind of the financial aspect of things. And he's had a guest on lately, Benny, by the way, and big shout out to the work that Benny has been doing. I haven't been able to keep up as much, by the way. Just to let you guys know, I'm also, I've been working 6 days a week. I might even be picking up a second job. And I know some of you say, wow, you know, you working 2 jobs, Dorsey. Yeah, I haven't got access. Like I was real close some years ago with that private event I attended, confirmed. You know, I wouldn't have had to basically punch a clock anymore and do this, but there's some things too I want to share with you guys. I am still down the road. I do have an intent. I would like to start the Patreon account. However, the guys, to let you all know what's been going on, my internet situation, the internet service provider I was with, they have a monopoly where I live at, and unfortunately they're the only company that can support the type of bandwidth and the type of streaming that I need, which I'm on. You guys, just to let you know, I'm on my phone right now. I have unlimited, but however, what some of these companies do, when you tether, the cell phone companies are not like home internet service providers where you're getting a better streaming or bandwidth, by the way, and to do the type of videos that I would like to do, like screen captures, and be able to upload them in a timely fashion where I'm not eating up a bunch of data and then I'm constantly purchasing extra 2 gigabytes of data. That's like a big headache, because the cell phones, for whatever reason, they run through data pretty fast. They're trying to make a hustle out the internet, of course, but it's better that I would have a home service to do some of the types of videos that I do and be able to upload them in a timely fashion for you all. I also, this year, to let you guys know as a preview, I would like to let you guys know I have some screen capture videos down the road I would like to do where I show the evidence, where you guys are not just seeing me actually speak about these different notes, topics that I discussed. You all will see the documents and things that I have on my computer to confirm the research, the information that I've gone over, I previously have discussed, is credible. That's why I like to do the screen capture videos every now and then, to show you guys, you know, I record those from my apartment, from where I stay at, to show you guys the validity behind the information that I cover. Because there's those out there that claim that this information, some of what I've talked about, is inaccurate. And when you guys shoot me a thumbs up, it definitely helps give confirmation. Also, leave comments at the end of the videos. That's still welcome, by the way. I will respond, at least if I don't comment, you know, I will see it more likely than not. And I'll give you a thumbs up or love emoji to show, you know, my appreciation for you guys confirming. But I have a lot of subscribers. I want to thank you. Big shout out to you all who have given me confirmation, who have previously commented in previous videos that I've done to show the validity, and you guys recognize the accuracy of the information that I'm going over is valid, and facts do matter. And you guys see that I go over honest, accurate information. And kudos to you all, the few subscribers who do have my personal contact information, who I text and talk to. Big shout out to you all as well. The few that have also confirmed that and have shared with me privately that you can see the sincereness, the integrity, and I appreciate the love. So I just want to acknowledge that out there. Kudos to you all, you know, and many of you all who are putting in the work, and those who have shared my videos, those in the past who shared my video that went viral on the black card. Big shout out to Yusuf El. He wasn't the only person that shared that particular video, and it's the reason why I took that video down. I went over that information already some years ago. I may be doing a redo of that video, but because the information is so sensitive with that particular organization and group that I attended. But you know, I kept it real. I follow a lot of the rules, part of that organization at first. I did what I felt was required and everything, and for a number of years it just kept going on and on, and I didn't see, you know, the results that I would have liked. And because other individuals messed up, I didn't get access to the money or the funds that I was supposed to get access to, as well as other people who attended the paid the private seminars that met the requirements during the time. And the individual source that relayed the information to me is that these higher ups, whoever they were, these people that run the DTC or whatever, that decided to cut us off because of those few people out there who messed up, who were emptying out ATM machines, a guy buying a plane, some guy I heard buying a fleet of Rolls Royces, setting up a red flag, messed it up for people like myself, where I still have to be, you know, on this 9-to-5 job, and you know, in the situation basically suffering and being until the other thing happens. And they did this to a lot of people. And now they actually changed the rules when the individual resurfaced. Now all of a sudden they say if a person messes up, you'll be held accountable or responsible. They should have had that rule years ago, and we should find out. We should be given the names of those people who went around, had a contest using that car, emptying out ATM machines and whatnot. And it was real at the time. By the way, just to show you guys validity, you have to play catch up. I won't go into all the details, but many of you all know that I'm not making this up. I do carry this with me. It is kind of very worn, but in the older debit cards, this was before the chips were mandated. I'll try to hold it up to the camera, try to reflect this. You guys can see it's pretty worn. There was a PIN number on the front that we had, that was part of our paperwork that was processed. You guys can kind of see from the angle I'm holding it at, there is a barcode. It's kind of faded right where my index finger is. I'm trying to hold it slight to the camera so you guys can see this is real. This was a real event. That's why when there's particular gatekeeper or mole out there, troll and minions and underlinks that try to discredit this information that I go over as far as being inaccurate, no, I have credibility. I also have supporting documentation. In a previous screen capture video, I even showed one of the documents that I had to submit. That was an application process. I saved some of those documents were in PDF files, you know, archived information, as well as tons of other people I was in touch with that have access to that information. So I want to assure you the TDAs were real. I'm an insider. This is confirmed, whether because the Federal Reserve doesn't want to tell you the truth, and some of them, maybe their lower level people might not know, so I have to give them the benefit of the doubt. But the higher ups have access to codes and stuff that the lower level people that work for these banking institutions and other sub corporations don't have access to. There's higher ups that do, and this is a big plan, by the way. So this was real. I want to reassure you once again. I have to give, you know, reassurance because I still get asked updated questions. I know it seems surreal to some people, like, dang, Dorsey, is that real? Because I want to show you guys. I also used to bank. Currently, you know, I'm not with them because I owe a balance, but I used to bank, you know, on the new debit cards, because the one I just showed, I'm pulling out, by the way. I'm gonna just show you guys part of it, you know, again. But this other card, I used to bank with Chase. Cut off the bottom part. You see how the newer cards have the chip. I remember when they made that a requirement some years ago. So this was an older card, and some people who attended this event, the word that I was given, confirmation, this was private. So I'm going over information I've never gone over before. I'm dropping some real heavy knowledge right now. So it's only showing 4 people that are watching, but you guys, after the video uploads, it'll be more people obviously see it, and I recommend, you know, even share this video. But I just want to confirm, I'm not trying to brag or nothing. I'm just trying to show validity, by the way, that this was a real event. And when I went over, there were people who messed up, and they were not, their name should have been put out there, and they changed the rules when the new group of people came out, where they said if you mess up, now you're going to be accountable. But I just wanted to show, this is a lot of the stuff I had to go through. This was a nightmare, because they still holding my package, my paperwork. I don't exactly know for sure, even though I was told where it's at. I was like, contemplating whether or not I was going to come back. And that was only because they were still holding my DTC paperwork, my eligibility questionnaire forms, my social security card, my birth certificate. Those are private documents. I do, and I found an entity I could file a complaint with, by the way, but I'm not, and I personally, I did not go to contact certain authorities. However, I had a friend who sent me an email that told me there were people who attended the original event some years ago because they went through the same thing I went through. They actually contacted the FBI with some people down south in Tampa, Florida. I'm up north. And some people in Tampa, Florida, and some people in Orlando. And I also heard some other places as well. So, I'm very, you can understand, very ticked off because a lot of information that's being taught in the schools, a friend of mine agreed with me. I mentioned earlier yesterday before the new year came in that these schools, you're not learning the real information. When you go to college and stuff, you're not being taught the true information. You're being taught how to be a good slave, how to work and empower the ruling class elite, their corporations. That's why they have a mechanism where they reward people and pay more money in corporate America based on, but now the technology has progressed so fast, they don't need people anymore because of the robots, the rise of artificial intelligence. So they can just throw people to the wayside. To show for years they were just using people, but now that's why the new tech, which a particular group is pushing for, they want people to have to go back to school and stuff like that. And they're not really, this information that we were learning in grade school is only at a certain level. The ruling class, the people who are the elites or very wealthy families, and it's a difference between being rich versus being wealthy. Like there's a higher plateau versus top middle class, being rich and being wealthy. There's members that they were taught by their parents. They were sent to private schools by invitation only. There's, I found out there's a tech giant. There's a head of a particular corporation. I won't say his name in this particular video. I've mentioned his name previously and can't remember which video, but I found out that the school his children goes to said they do not have to follow the Common Core curriculum. So you have some parents who homeschool their kids because they know that the school systems are not going to teach them the proper high-level information they should be learning. So this information and redemption movement, I want to assure you there is validity to this information. There's a real legitimate side versus the scams and stuff that are out there. I'm not saying there is some validity to that, but you have a legitimate side, and that's what I discuss. I go over the legitimate side that's being hidden from you, that is controlled by members of the ruling class elite. And you also have the good cabal versus the bad cabal. You have a criminal network of people that have this power, that like to use it to abuse people. Then you have another group where they may be kind of arrogant in their personality, elitist, but they have compassion where they'll at least give you a bone or throw you something to kind of help you out. And some people, I know it sounds like an oxymoron contradiction, but they refer to them as the good cabal. This is what someone in my camp, an elder, kind of explained to me, by the way. And, they had to do things a certain way, but there's one particular group that likes to see people suffering. A good friend of mine that studied eschatology, other things, linguistics, can speak multiple languages. He studied into the ideology, a lot of history. By the way, I would say he's like the equivalent of a 5-star historian. I'm not going to say his name to protect his identity. And I have a couple other people that I know who've confirmed, who are very good, excellent historians that know way more than I do, by the way. So I want to assure you, I'm not trying to get the glory in this. I'm a humble person, but I'm giving kudos to these people to show you that I cross-reference information to make sure I'm bringing you all accurate information. And I check with other people that if I'm weak in a particular area, let's say if it's political science, I have a friend where he studied political science and economics, and he's excellent, very fluent with history, by the way. And he was in one of the branches of the military, I won't say, and had a high-level secret security clearance. These are the types of connections. So this provides credibility when information is being relayed, and I'm cross-referencing the information to authenticate it to see if it's valid, if it checks out, how many sources. I do it investigative research in depth, and I have to put together notes for you guys to break this down so you guys can understand where I'm coming from and why this information is important. That's why I also go over those documentaries. Once you guys really, if you diligently take the time to watch those documentaries that I previously went over in my previous video, which were high power, you will start to recognize, and it will point you to who some of these wicked individuals are that are trying to oppress us and suppress the information and knowledge. And they've done this with inventors, scientists, and they're very wicked, very, I can't, you guys can't imagine, because I had a subscriber, and kudos to her, I will not say the name, and I felt her frustration. I said the same thing. I talked to very recently, and she told me she needed some assistance dealing with like redemption stuff and had a question, by the way. And she said, Dorsey, I don't understand, why, you work really hard, she follows the rules, she's an upstanding citizen, is kind to people.
690 unit radio check.
Hold on, guys. Castleton. And she wants to know why that it feels like that the corrupt people or people in the society who seem like they don't care, they're being empowered, being placed on a pedestal. But it's the hardworking Americans, people such as herself, who are sincere, honest, that are trying to get their access to their freedom, are wondering why she sees a kindred spirit, why many of us are suffering and trying to access and gain our freedom. And I'm not trying to spook you guys or nothing, but there is a faction of people that don't want to see us thrive. They want to suppress the society. And I was even speaking with a coworker that didn't believe that the Illuminati is real. And I found a document that's extremely powerful. And I want to tell you guys that this group of people, when you study them into who they are, they use underlinks, by the way, people who are part of secret societies, who are Masons, Shriners. Now, I'm not saying everybody who's a Mason or Eastern Star. You have women, too. This is how they communicate privately and act as spies and infiltrate jobs, religion, agriculture, the medical industry, Hollywood entertainment, and they move through different, even subcultures, different genres. Because I've studied a plethora of information, psychology. So when you guys hear me talk about this Illuminati stuff, I'm not crazy. I didn't fly over the cuckoo's nest. I'm a perfectly sane individual. But what I'm trying to relay is get you all to connect the dots, the pieces together, by the way. And once again, Happy New Year. I just got a text. If you guys heard that message, some people, sometimes there's disruption too. When I'm flowing and going to high-powered information, I'm not trying to get religious, but even spiritual, sometimes the enemy will attack because there's people out there that they don't want you waking up. So the message that I was sharing with this subscriber, she follows me, seems to be a very nice woman, is trying to make it out here. But she's like, Dorsey, why is it that the good people like us, that she recognized has a kindred spirit, and that are trying to gain access to our freedom, that it's like we're doing everything and we're suffering, we're being attacked. And I'm gonna tell you, it's not your fault. It's also to try to explain this, and I'm share this with the rest of you guys, because I think a lot of people don't understand this. But there are people, minions and gatekeepers. They are mean spirit. They pretend on the surface to have a genuine, a good spirit, and they're being exposed, many of them, and they can't stand it, and they have an agenda where they want to suppress the knowledge and information, and they want to use it for themselves because they're selfish in nature many times. So there's also underlings and people who work below these higher up people who will work actively to keep all the rest of us suppressed because they don't want you becoming free. But what I will be able to do when I do the screen capture videos and even start the Patreon account, I'll be able to go into more detail because I have the documents to validate what I'm going over that shows specifically. And I've discussed this with other people. There are other people that I know that have some of these same documents from a couple years ago. We were in communication, and there's numerous people, I would say millions of people, that are aware that know the Illuminati is real. they're used different names. That's just a general term. It's an umbrella term. The ruling class elite, whether you refer to as a global syndicate, is compartmentalized of different secret societies. They were also referred to at one time as the Committee of 300. And there's names I can name. That's why I recommend, if you get the book Bloodlines of the Illuminati by Fritz Springmeier, that is a must-have book in your collection. It will explain to you who they are. There's another book that was told to me by a friend. We both know a traveling man, but I was told the same story some years ago by another Mason that I know I used to work with, I believe. I didn't confirm, but I do believe this brother, a guy I used to work with, was a traveling man. By the way, and that happens to be in the kind of career field that I work in, by the way, but he's no longer with the company. And he said, get this book. And I showed it in a previous video. I may show it again. I didn't bring it with me tonight to show you guys. I recommend part 1 and 2, especially if you're African-American or melanated descent. It's called The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews. He said, get the book. And this was from a Mason, a traveling man. And you have females too, I want to say, they're Eastern Stars. You also have different chapters called the Sisters of Osiris. But one of the books goes over the evidence of the transatlantic slave trade that shows the families who were involved that participated in this. The facts. It shows the names of family members in part 2 that were behind many of the Jim Crow laws. Did you know the Democratic Party, it was members of the Democratic Party that organized and created the KKK. The Democratic Party also voted for the Jim Crow laws, by the way, which certain individuals couldn't use certain restrooms and bathrooms. This is something that a lot of liberals and certain individuals, high up boule people who are part of these fraternities and sororities won't talk about. This like the elephant in the room, the taboo subject, because they want to say, oh, it's nothing over there, just look that way. You know, they don't want the left hand to know what the right hand is doing, by the way. And I'm not trying to get political, but I'm just going over, there's information to point you to who's behind, who the bad guys are, who's the enemy, the people at the top, and who you have to evaluate people that you come in contact with, that to see if, you know, it's difficult because some people, this subscriber also mentioned to me, she believes certain individuals have sold their souls, and there's other individuals, and women by nature have certain amazing mechanisms that God created for them. When I studied dating psychology years ago, a friend of mine had brought up in a short conversation we like to talk about dating advice. And this was another guy that I know, who's a friend of mine, and he mentioned, and I said, I noticed certain things from body language, but the way females' bodies are hardwired genetically, generally speaking, by the way, they can pick up, you know, on things, your voice inflection. I've been told by a lot of subscribers, and I've been out in public, people I've never met before. They've even said this to me. I had a post office in the city of Detroit I used to go to, and not too far from the neighborhood I grew up, one of the neighborhoods I grew up in. I learned it was the Strathmore station on, let me see, what street is that? Schaefer near Schoolcraft, by the way. And the woman, she came up, approached me some years ago, gave me some of the most wonderful compliments you can imagine, just out the blue. I was working on my paperwork, and she said, I can tell you're really smart. I guess, I don't know if it's because she noticed that I was left-handed or whatever, but she just said this to me out the blue. She said, you're brilliant, and said this a couple times, and said, you're going to go far. And I had some other people just say very positive things. So I can get spiritual. I look at things spiritually, but you have imps out here too, people who are operating from a negative vibe, a negative spirit. And I just want to assure you, and kind of to break down to that subscriber, when she asked me this and said she worked so hard, I feel her pain, her frustration, and because I've gone through the same thing, and others have felt that. Like, why is it the good people that have integrity, you know, when are we going to get our break? It's like you're doing everything, we're following the straight and narrow path, but we have members from the private sector, we felt like, that have the capability to pull us out, and they see our suffering within the public sector, but they're not assisting us. You know what I mean? And you got to question when they brought up these humanitarian projects and things, when they say you're going to come into this money, some of it is going to be used to do humanitarian projects, but some of it is going to be for personal use. But I question some of these people at the top. I question their sincereness too, by the way. you know, as far as, is this really about humanitarian projects? Because they use, some of them, not all, use their nonprofits and foundations to launder money through, or pay, if you've heard of pay for play, and they're not sincere or genuine. So just something to evaluate. But I didn't mean to kind of rant, but I kind of wanted to give you guys a preview and examples of real life situations. Subscribers that have reached out to me, and I appreciate the love. And we're in the new year 2020, and this year, since 2020 they measure like your eyesight, I want to be focused. 2020 have laser vision, razor sharp this year. My New Year's resolution is going to be more focused, to have perfect vision 2020. And I actually have perfect vision in one eye. I believe it's my right eye. And years ago, I had 2017. So the doctor told me at the time I didn't have to wear necessarily reading glasses. I used to wear reading glasses years ago as a child, but they told me that if I kept wearing them until my old age or whatever, that my eyes would get too used to them. So I decided to not, you know, wear them. But they said my right eye, which has perfect vision, actually takes over the other eye. So it has more power. It's kind of like how positive energy overtakes negative energy. So this eye, I have perfect vision. I do like this because, you know, when you go to the to renew your driver's license or to the Secretary of State, they make you do that eye test. So this eye is still not bad, but this eye is actually perfect. And the doctor told me it's like I see like a person that has 20/20 vision. They told me this years ago when I went to an eye doctor, and I have a good memory and I can remember. And this is how the doctor explained this. And when I went to another doctor years later, he told me this. They went over all the details, you know, with me at the time. And they even at one time, so since we're in the year 2020 symbolically, and we're in the Aquarian age, which is the age of truth, and that's actually one of my astrological signs, by the way, but that's on the chart. You have to do your full chart. You have your sun and your ascendant rising sign. A lot of people don't go by their ascendant rising sign. So a lot of these people that consider themselves to be astrology gurus on Facebook or post stuff on social media, they're not fully accurate, because people that say I'm a Scorpio or Taurus, you got to go by your ascendant sign. Is just as important and just as powerful as your sun sign. The two are like equal, like yin and yang from each other. And your moon is like your third most powerful sign, like what planet your moon was in. Because I studied a little bit of that too. I've delved into the occult. Even though I grew up Christian, I've seen both sides of the spectrum. I used to practice astral projection some years ago. I'm actually a fan of Chris Angel and David Blaine. By the way, I've delved into metaphysics, and I love high-powered information. By the way, that's why I discuss things pertaining to the Illuminati, and I can see things from a greater perspective than sometimes people in the general public. I think I'm more open-minded. I can think more out of sight, out of mind. And one of my relatives, I would say, I'm not going to say which particular relative, but growing up, they sparked interest because I asked some years ago about these comic books they were reading that they would purchase from a Bible bookstore, and they would talk about the 4 horsemen. It would deal with the New World Order, the one world government. So this intrigued me, and I think this relative saw that because I had an interest and that it was kind of like my fanboy of Christianity, they saw this as a way, as a tool, say, I can use this, you know, to keep him, you know, kind of interested in the religious aspect of Christianity, which will help give him structure or whatever. I used to have like a children's Bible. You had a teenage Bible, children for teenagers, and they had different pictures. It wasn't like the traditional Bible, but it would break down the stories and show images and stuff that the regular King James wouldn't, and would use different type of translation, by the way. So the things with the New World Order interest me, so I think I took it a step further, and this particular relative took me to this New World Order conference in October of 1996. I was 17 years old. It was in Allen Lincoln Park Municipal Center some years ago. And I met a guy, he was a former FBI agent named Terry Cook. And my relative at the time told me, she said, you can either get the cassette tape, it was a VHS tape, or you can get the book. Fortunately, I decided to opt to purchase the book for me. So I read one of Terry Cook, his older books. He was like a whistleblower, former FBI agent, similar to Ted Gunderson. And there was a lady named Joyce Riley. She spoke at the conference, and some other people. And it went over information about the New World Order, the one world government. which I found out years later in learning this information. And when I learned about the redemption movement, then that linked up and started to connect the whole pieces. And I said, wow. So everything started connecting and coming together as one. And I started to see and analyze. If you wonder, how did I learn this information? And some people, I've talked to traveling men, many different masons of different lodges and chapters. And they said, it's like you're one of us. I had a neighbor who lived in the same apartment building, who used to live in the same building. He actually stays across from me now. And he told me, he said, it's like you are already unofficially a traveling man, even though I didn't go through any official initiation, because I studied like similar to the mystery schools years ago. And a friend of mine that can go further with the research, he's a historian, I would say very top-notch historian, talks about the priesthood and how the Mongolian people years ago came close to conquering the world, and the region of the world that they went and invaded, like the Arab or Mediterranean people. He said that's why to this day you will find certain Mediterranean people with the last name Khan, you know, from the ruler Genghis Khan. And I said, wow, that's very interesting, because my mentor, and that's all I kind of leave it at, told me some years ago, he was related to Genghis Khan. He was a descendant of, and he is of actually a different ethnic group, different nationality, by the way. So when you study history, it will connect these pieces. And there's a video game. They put stuff not only in the movies, but even video games. There's a video game called Assassin's Creed. So some years ago, I had stopped playing my games for a while. Just now, earlier this year, I just started playing again. I hadn't actually played since 2014, believe it or not. This is true story. Going since we're into 2020 now, I'm just kind of sharing this story to provide validity. But they put hidden messages in games and movies. So it's important to study your history. Your history, even though it's his story, you know, you want to study and learn the true information, the real information, as much as you can, and study multiple languages. They will help connect the pieces for you. I don't mean to go too deep on you guys and try to get esoteric, but I can tell when people still don't get it or understand the information because they're processing it at a certain way. My comprehension level, I think, is a lot higher. I can understand things, and I'm not trying to put myself on a pedestal, but I can understand, I can comprehend things on a much greater scale capacity. So my focus this year, 2020, is going to be razor sharp, 2020 vision. This is my message. Not trying to preach a sermon. However, so a friend of mine, he explained, you know, dealing with history, and he said the Illuminati was like this priesthood class that came in and they dealt with like magic and different things. And then now today, the offshoots, when you start moving up in the different secret societies, the Masons, the Shriners, the Knight Templars, and different levels, you start getting into these different secrets of the upper echelon that gets into sorcery, or some may refer to as witchcraft. But remember, when you break the word down, the root word and the suffix, witchcraft breaks down into witchcraft are you? Witchcraft. And they also call Freemasonry the craft. I picked up certain, you know, terminologies throughout the years just from watching, listening to people real close, because they'll give secret messages, you know, Eastern Stars, women, secret gestures, you know, they'll do things with the hat, you know, messages. I noticed years ago when I worked at Radio Shack, I had a coworker. He didn't understand what was going on. Traveling Man came in, was doing his hat like this. I don't know if he was trying to send a message to see if it was any of fellow travelers. You see, they speak in secret code. He did his hat. I don't have I didn't bring my cap with me tonight, but I'll use this cap, for example. And he did like this, but he had like a baseball cap. And he kept doing like that. And I was like, whoa. I know, and this was back in 2004. I had already been studying who they were. But this is how different people in our regular society communicate secretly. And best believe the women who are seen as nurturing people, best believe they're part of some of these secret societies too. And the sororities, I found out all of the sororities, AKAs, deltas, they all fall up under the craft, Freemasonry. And that's why one of the rules when I was going to pledge years ago to be a Phi Beta Sigma, at the college I went to at the time, I was considering, which I never went through official initiation. Now, some of the guys still recognize me as a brother, but it was still a difference versus one guy that officially crossed and went over. He was recognized as, you know, it was like a difference. I noticed they whisked him away, you know, like to keep him distant. So they still treated me as a brother, but, you know, they kind of recognize, like, he knows, but they told us at the time there was another guy who was going through the initiation process. He didn't follow through just like me, but he was already a traveling man. And they said, if you're a Mason, you're a traveling man, you can belong to any of the fraternities, because it was dealing with the men, that you want to. But he said, if you're an alpha or you're a Q dog, you can't be a sigma. Like, they have this rule. But if you're a Mason, you can still join those other groups. Now, I even heard there's some type of rule they have even between the Masons and Shriners, because I spoke years ago to show you guys validity. I spoke to a most worshipful master over a lodge, and he was telling me some things at the time. He was a Shriner. He said that this is not supposed to be known, but he said he showed me his validity because I showed him I had an ID from when I studied in what was known as the Sovereign Movement. I had like an ID and had a law dealing with the United Nations, and it was notarized, and, you know, it was official. And he showed me his Masonic ID because there's some similarities basically to Freemasonry and sovereignty, by the way. I won't go into all of that, but some traveling men consider me, you know, to be a fellow brother unofficial. Just kind of leave it at that. Not saying to let you guys know how did I learn this information, but one traveling man even confirmed and told me, he said, what you do is you do forensic research. And I said, yeah, that's an interesting perspective. I said, I accept that. He said, you're a forensic researcher. And I said, I never really looked at it like that, because forensic people, we always think of them as like people that study cadavers and, you know, things, but it gets into in-depth investigative research at a microscopic level. And there is evidence out here to point to. So a lot of people are pointing the finger here and here, this, that, but there's books out here that will provide. And this most worshipful master years ago that I was considering going through, he was under Scottish Rite chapter, and he said there's books and stuff you'll get. But he admitted to me, he said a lot of stuff is on the internet now. So he said you didn't break any secrets like the new codes, because a lot of stuff was already public. So he shared that, admitted that to me. But he said they did have specific books that they would want you to read. And he said part of the initiation process, they would need to come to your house, meet your relatives. If, you know, if this is something that I decided to go through. And at the time I was contemplating on which lodge I wanted to go through, because I didn't have the money. Some lodges require more dues. And then I also heard some lodges were shadier or didn't have as much integrity, because there's different chapters too. So I didn't want to just join up with a chapter and they're doing stuff, you know, like the bad cabal. You know, I wanted to get with a chapter had more integrity, that did positive stuff, you know. So that's something to take into consideration. And I found out there was a guy on YouTube that answered questions for people who's a traveling man that are going through the process. And I found out one of the questions they ask you is, are you trying to overthrow the government? And I found that to be quite interesting, because a lot of the people that are caught up with this deep state corruption that's part of this swamp, a lot of them are fellow club members. I can't say which organizations, I don't know specifically which ones they're part of, but you know there's requirements when you go in government or hold certain positions, lawyers, judges, doctors, different professions. It's almost like a requirement to be part of a sorority or fraternity. My friend of mine shared this with me years ago, to be like a judge. He told me most likely, he said that person that I discussed, he said, is a traveling man. And I said, you know, that makes sense. So they require, you know, these things. So that's how I've been able to delve deeper into this information. So I'm not trying to get conspiratorial, but I'm showing you guys I'm very well studied in my craft. I have books. I have a friend of mine who went to school in California, got his degree. Kudos to him. He's already teaching one of his degrees or fields is like related to psychology. Don't quote me on what it is specifically, but I congratulated him. And he told me some years ago, he said, you show the evidence. He said, you show the books and videos in your video. So I have people that confirm in my video, I show facts. I'm not hiding behind a fake account. I show, I've given my real name, who I am. So you have to question sometimes certain gatekeepers, and people want you to believe that their facts matter when they're hiding behind a fake account. They're not showing you a real name, you know, never showing you a real face. They're using a pseudonym name, but they want you to believe that they're more credible. Just something to think about. And I've shown screen capture videos for you guys to do the research. Some of the information is still on the internet. It's still public domain information for you all to look up. But what do they say? They put stuff in the book. Sometimes people don't read it. You know, it's so sad. We're in the information age, and this information is out here for people to learn. But that's why I do these videos, to try to empower you all and connect the pieces and show that there is validity behind this information. Redemption stuff is accurate. By the way, the TDA Treasury Direct Accounts, it was accuracy despite the reversals and overturns. There's accuracy to that information. I'm an insider. I attended that event. That card I showed earlier in this video provided evidence of that, by the way. You know, so I'm already about 45 minutes in, guys. I've said a mouthful. This was open Q&A if for you guys, if you did have any questions, but I'm getting ready to shut things down. So I'm just going to acknowledge the last bits I got. Okay, Tori. Okay, I acknowledged that comment earlier. Appreciate you joining, Tori. Doucette RV question. Aaron Villette says smash the likes. Mary Saunders says please smash that button. Thank you, Mary. Thumbs up. Appreciate you, Mary. Do you ever think we will ever get out TDAs? Not sure if you could elaborate some more, Mary, if you're still watching. Do you ever think that we will ever get out TDAs? I think there is a way. Says B Duff says I agree regarding the TDA accounts. However, all my transactions were reversed. I'm sorry to hear that, but there is validity and there's a reason why those reversals are happening. Darren Jackson says appreciate your good knowledge. Thank you for joining. Goeta Americana book 1 by Nippy says peace, my younger bro. Thank you. Goetia Americana book 1 by Neppy. Thank you. B Duff says, man, let that clandestine group stuff go. Obviously, they aren't going to follow through on agreements made. You're smart enough to find another way to amass wealth. Thank you for the encouragement. I'm working on that. However, because B-Duff, they're still holding my documents, unfortunately, and they do recognize there was an obligation because I have a source that relayed information back from someone real high up that they know they, you know, did us wrong, you know. And because I have the evidence, the documents, and I still, I'm going to shoot that private investigator, hopefully an email that I contacted from one of the local news stations who said he was willing to run a story. And I may contact another investigator. I saw a story on something else related to some stuff similar to this that could provide some validity because I do have evidence, documents in my possession. B Duff says the elites are always going to want to control the masses. Yes. Chris Smith says, salutations, Dorsey. Appreciate you. Chris, thank you for joining. Goetia Americana Books says once, if you want it, move the people together. Yes, I do agree with that. The problem with trying to organize, I tried to get people to assist. It's a two-way street, and you have to have a camaraderie because you have to also evaluate people. There's a lot of agents, just like they use COINTELPRO to break up the Black Panthers and other groups. There were activists. They were doing sincere things for the community. I even found out, you know, even our modern day healthcare system, they did a video to show was credited to the Black Panther Party. They don't get credit for this, but some of the things pertaining to that, I don't remember all the details, but they had food programs for kids and things that the Black Panthers were doing. But unfortunately, you had very bad cabal members back then as well. And I won't gets into some other stuff, by the way. It says there are good and bad illuminated ones from whence you come. Yes, my barber even said there's a good side and there's a negative side with everything. Remember, this universe is based off of balance, yin and yang. And that's one of the maxims of law the elites use. So is above, so is below. When they refer to in code, that coded language still deals with yin and yang. Anthony Simmons says Steve Harvey said on his TV show in front of hundreds and thousands of whites, he said, forget about slavery. That was in the past. Shake my head. Wow. Yeah, that gets into some deep stuff. Check out the book, by the way, once again, called The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews. You may have to order it. It's no longer in print. Some sites don't sell it. You can find it on eBay and Amazon, but I would recommend get that book. It shows the evidence behind who the specific families, some of them are still alive, their descendants are benefiting off the slavery, off the ancestry. That some of them own the slavery ports, they own the slave ships. I won't spoil it for you guys, but they also show the evidence behind the Democratic Party, and even the connection to Freemasonry. And did you know the first black nationalist organization used to spy on other black people and report them to Caucasian Jews was Hebrew Israelites. That many of them also behind the scenes there's different factions of them, just like different types of Moors. By the way, just using this as an example, just like you have Moorish Science Temple, Moorish Nationals, there's different factions of Hebrew Israelites. And I don't belong to any of these groups, just on a side note. By the way, just want to say that on the record. They didn't ask me to do this. I'm not part of any organization, by the way. I don't have a card-carrying membership, as those would say, by the way. There's some other things, but I would recommend get that book. It's the 2 books, part 1 and 2, called The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews. It shows the evidence. I didn't bring it with me tonight. I've shown it in a previous video, so if you scroll through my playlist, one of my older videos, I went over that information. Goetia Americana book says, so yes, the God of War, Jehovah, gets over 100,000 sacrifices every year just off of abortions. Wow, yeah, this is some heavy stuff. A lot of stuff I don't have the time to really go into the details about, because I'm getting ready to shut things down. Terry McLaughlin said, Happy New Year, brother. Appreciate you, Terry. Terry McLaughlin says, I'm a Mason, Dorsey. My grandfather, mom's dad, was highest ranked 32nd degree Mason. I was approached a while back and offered me to be a member, so I'm now a Mason. Okay, I understand. Yeah, you know, we have good members. One of my best friends, mentors, is a traveling man. He unofficially, I won't say the name, took me up under him, but I wanted to also point out there's balance with this, because individuals who are pointing the finger, those of us who are really awake, I have to be honest about some of this stuff when it gets political. A lot of the swamp members, club members that are responsible for abusing the laws and stuff, they are part of club members, but they are different types of secret societies. Mason, that's just a particular chapter. You have Skull and Bones. You have Scottish Rite, York Rite. You have women who are Eastern Stars, Sisters of Osiris. You have high-level female Masons, such as Sisters of Light. That's like super high up. You have, different members of different factions. Council on Foreign Relations. You have Bilderberg Group, Trilateral Commission. Davos Group is like a public side, daylight version of the Bilderberg Group. So it's different. That's why it's important to study, connect the pieces, because a lot of people will say this in general, but won't go as in depth. You see, I'm going in depth, but I'm giving you guys the tool based off the words that I mentioned, and look up, research this online, and you'll see that's why I'm more, you have more of an open mind perspective, and you'll see the validity behind what I'm going over. By the way, says Ja Bill. Goetia says Prince Hall. Yep, I'm familiar with Prince Hall. I think my grandfather was one, so I had what's called a rite of passage as well, because my grandfather was one. However, some years ago, I was contemplating, there was different lodges I was contemplating on going through. I never went through officially. I just want to say on the record, that's why I'm aware of like some of this information, but I also learned from what I went over already previously from the Christianity aspect, the teachings about the New World Order. Some of the Christian Bible bookstores would teach about and stuff. And then I went a step further and found out how they control different religions. And there's a video game called Assassin's Creed, and there's other games and movies that go over true history that's been covered up, by the way. Says Chris Smith says, okay, I skipped a comment. Anthony Simmons says, yep, I once dated a girl in a sorority. I asked her what gang she was in, and she got livid at me as if I struck a nerve. Yeah, yeah. It's sororities fall up under the Mason, the craft, the Eastern Stars. There are different divisions. That's why it's a pecking order. It's a hierarchy, a caste system. And then there's higher orders above Freemasonry, like I mentioned earlier, Skull and Bones. Certain initiate classes. By the way. Chris Smith says, I had better than 20/20 vision, very beneficial when I was in combat looking down my sights. Okay, that's phenomenal. I have heard a story about that. I heard about a woman that was born with a skill set where she can see further than normal people. She can actually see like a hawk or like an eagle. So, you do have people born with gifted abilities. Stan Lee's show, Stan Lee Superhuman, that was out some years ago, used to go over people that had like amazing skill sets and abilities, by the way. And I think I've been told that I have that I don't have the time to kind of go over. I have some of those abilities, by the way, and you can develop some of those abilities too from metaphysics training, also from martial arts. Even Chris Angel, who's gone over, mentioned he studied metaphysics. He did a video where he showed he's a martial arts practitioner, by the way. So even martial arts training can build that up. Like if you've seen the movie Ninja Assassin, by the way, this is why the SEALs train so hard. It will increase the senses, your natural eyesight and awareness, even from training. So you can actually develop some of these abilities. That's why Professor X at his school, Xavier Academy, helped fine tune the abilities for the other X-Men, by the way, with the story behind Xavier. And that's kind of what I'm like, is to also help you guys that may, to allow you guys to reach your full potential, by the way, to maximize your skill sets. I may be like a Professor X, by the way. Fox Chick says, glad to see you back on. Appreciate you, Fox Chick. Thank you for joining. Goetia says, because I'm the author. Okay, I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to get ready to go, guys. I know it's a lot of comments. Let me see, finish up. Whoa, wow. Okay, it's a lot. You guys keep them coming. I'll try to finish up this last amount. Mary Saunders says, that money that is owed to us by the TDA accounts. Okay. Yes, there's a way to access it. I'm pretty much out of time. We're almost approaching an hour. I didn't mean to be before you guys that long. Maybe I didn't recognize I should have got back to the chat after I kind of ranted. It seems like we talked for a while. It was open forum, but you guys were welcome to ask questions, by the way. But I am going to have to get ready to shut things down, by the way. Anthony Simmons says, that's what all the distractions, reality shows, tablets, smartphones, and movies are for. Brother Dorsey, the masses ain't trying to gain knowledge, even if the truth is right in front of them. Peace. I think there's definitely truth to that. However, at the same time, to add to what you're saying, not saying disagreeing, but I think there's another perspective to add to what you're saying, is that, Anthony, that there's a group of masses, a lot of people that are hungry for knowledge, just like this redemption information. They just are looking for the right sources, but the elites have been suppressing it, the few that are in the know. Like, they wanted me to sign a non-disclosure agreement to go back to that event to teach me the rest of the information. To show you, I had already met the requirements when I had got, you know, this card that I showed, and I'll show it again. You know, right here, because I had a friend of mine, different people ask, why do I have to go through the ringer again? Why do I have to go through the, what they call it? What's that saying? How does that saying goes through the, you know what I mean? The wood chipper. You know, I've already been dragged through the mud numerous. I paid my dues, I felt like. Many of us, not just myself, because it's not about me, but other people who attended the first go around. And we feel like we were punished. That was mean, very mean-spirited. Whoever those DTC people were, if this individual is trying to disassociate himself from them if he doesn't have a connection. But that's very mean-spirited. At least he himself or others should have reached back to us and gotten us access, I felt like. You know, we shouldn't be going. This was not supposed to be this difficult, especially what they've done on the public side to block access. Is very egregious crimes that were committed. Because I don't have the time to go into the laws, but to confirm, Mary, you do have the right that we're supposed to have access. There's supposed to be a way to settle our accounts, by the way. So they're committing fraud. They're committing a crime, because many of them know they will go to jail if this is discovered and the right lawyers take this case on, or the right type of people with the right skill sets. A lot of these people, some of the Federal Reserve people, they can go to jail. If not that, there would be other ways, because this is wrong what they're doing to block our access, especially for those of us in the know. You know, I understand everybody can't wake up, but those of us, I felt like, who are awake to the truth, because there's some people who want to be brainwashed. I'm like, let them stay brainwashed. I'm fine with that. Let those people stay programmed, brainwashed. Hey, but those of us who are trying to access our freedom, they violated, like according to Pastor Lindsey Williams, they broke spiritual laws. So nothing's off the table then, as far as why there's going to be retribution and people have to retaliate, because they made a promise. And it's like when you make an oath, your word is supposed to be your bond. So they violated one of their own biggest agreements, one of their own biggest oaths. You see, and I don't have the time to go into, but I have the evidence, the documents to explain based on Mary's comment in the chat section. But yes, there's some people who have access to it, by the way. Fox Chick 2017 says, I checked that book out. It's legit once you start connecting the names. Yes, there's names of people that's still benefiting. Terry McLaughlin says, Scott is right. I'm that one. I understand. Appreciate you. Thank you for your, upfrontness, Terry. I know, some traveling men, they don't want it to be known out there. By the way, I understand, and there's good and bad in everything too. By the way, out here, it's not about skin color too. In one aspect, guys, I understand where everybody's coming from. I'm not trying to get religious or political, because on the Georgia Guidestones, if you look up, they said they want to reduce the world's population down to like 500 million. So if it's 6 to 8 billion people on the planet, that means they want a lot of people to go. And that would count for a lot of different ethnic groups. So in a sense, race, skin color doesn't matter. They want to murder a bunch of people. They wrote it on the Georgia Guidestones. I heard because some people vandalized it, they even put cameras and stuff up or whatever, because they were serious about what they put on the Georgia Guidestones. You can look this up. There's been documentaries done on this, by the way. So it says, Anthony Simmons says, understood, my brother. Fox Chick says, exactly. Chris Smith says, yes, they are. Fox Chick 2017 says, let us have our shit. I kudos to you. I feel you, though. I've been feeling that way for a while, because it's ours. It belongs to us. And they're saying it's so easy that, we need to do a signature card or have a signature card on file. But why didn't you, Pastor Tony King, why didn't you show us how to do the signature card? That should have been your first order of business, was to walk us step by step. If your friends cut us off from having access to the card, you should have did the signature card for us or help file the paperwork, so we would at least be able to set up a discharge by having the reversals not be reversed by us having access to at least our ACH transaction, because there's different types of transactions they could have done. So at least if they were going to cut us off the card, they should have done the Federal Reserve, the consent forms for us. You know what I'm saying? Because the ATM, to me, that wasn't just the sole excuse why you needed to cut everybody else off when we pay hundreds of dollars to attend those events. That was very wrong. When your family members and children have access to that wealth and money, as well as other people you're associated with, and know how to operate and have been taught this information already, so this is second nature to you. Of course, this is going to be easy. But when you're talking down to us, no, this is not as easy. I mean, even though I'm at a certain level, I'm not complaining in a sense. I appreciate you sharing the information, but at the same time, you didn't follow through on your promise, as well as the other people, and to make it difficult and to want to see people suffer like this is very cruel. That's why I don't necessarily buy this thing with the humanitarian projects. Just my opinion that, I did a whole separate video in the past on that. I might touch on that again, but if you guys are really concerned, you should have taken care of your own family members first and made sure we got access to our, at least if it wasn't $1 million, at least 100,000, you guys should have cashed us out. Then you wouldn't have had people, you wouldn't have created enemies either. By the way, I'm just saying, it is for what it is, but it's obvious you're gonna have people upset at you, and that's fraud. That gets into fraud. You collected money from people, even though this was supposed to be something private, and you didn't deliver, and the people you're associated with come up with these excuses. You could at least did the consent application to at least give us access to our EFT and ACH, so it would not reverse with the Federal Reserve and the transaction would settle. By the way, just saying, I'm gonna stop ranting. Fox Chick says the book on relationship between blacks and Jews. I've been paying strong to the names, paying attention to the names in the media and the music industry. I'm seeing where the money flows. Yes, they say follow the money trail. Chris Smith says eye symbol, open eyes. Yep, keep your eyes open. Someone says, I'm not sure if that's I8 Explorer says hello from the NC, North Carolina. Greetings to you. Thank you for joining. By the way, big shout out to North Carolina, by the way. Different states in the house. Big shout out to you guys. So with that being said, guys, I'm about to get ready to shut it down. I want to thank you guys for joining me. Happy New Year once again to all of you all who joined this video. I didn't give a disclaimer, so I'll give it at the end, and I do have one, and check the description box. This video is for informational, educational purposes. This is not intended to be legal advice. Please do your homework and research into the matter discussed if you feel otherwise. In the event, if you feel you need to seek a competent professional regarding this information, it is strongly encouraged you do so at one's own leisure. You are responsible for your own affairs. Dorsey's Resource channel is not liable or responsible for any misuse of the information. Once again, everyone is responsible for their own affairs. All rights are reserved. These are simply my opinions. I do appreciate you guys for joining, commenting. If you want to follow me, you can follow me at Dorsey's Resource on Facebook. I'm on YouTube, obviously. I'm on Twitter at Dorsey's Resource. I'm also on Minds.com, by the way, which I recommend. Guys, get off YouTube, empower other social media sites so YouTube just doesn't have all the power. We need to build up other platforms so YouTube just doesn't have a monopoly. And, you know, kudos to you guys. Thank you for your time. I'm your host, John Dorsey. Until next time, you guys have a blessed new year. Take care.